theory, which was peddled by the far right, said it wasn't Russia at all. Rather, a DNC staffer named Seth Rich had leaked the emails and that assassins working for Hillary Clinton had murdered him. Rich was killed 3 years ago tonight in what was most likely a robbery. The facts didn't prevent personalities on Fox News, even the president's current lawyer, Jay Sekulow, from pushing the theory. Here's Sekulow back in 2017.
It sure doesn't look like a robbery. It looks like a murder. And, I haven't seen the files. You haven't seen the files. But there's one thing this undercuts, I think, is this. I think this whole Russia argument, Sean, is such a subterfuge for reality.
Well, the reality was that the theory flourished. The conspiracy theory flourished. Here's a man holding a sign peddling the conspiracy at a rally for President Trump in Tampa, Florida, in July of last year. Now, until now, we didn't know where the conspiracy theory actually originated. Now we do, thanks to Yahoo News in a new 6-part podcast series. With me is Michael Isikoff, chief investigative correspondent for Yahoo News, who broke this story. So, Michael, this is fascinating reporting on your part. Just explain to us how this whole conspiracy theory actually started.
Yeah, it is a fascinating story. We did sort of an archaeological dig into these conspiracy theories, which got so much traction in 2016, 17, and even till today. What it turns out is that Seth Rich was killed on July 10th, 2016. He was walking home in the early hours of Sunday morning after a night drinking at a local bar, and what the cops concluded is very early on that this looked like a botched robbery. There had been a string of robberies in the neighborhood where he lived in the weeks before his death, and Seth Rich resisted his assailants. They apparently panicked and shot him in the back. 3 days later, on an obscure website called whatdoesitmean.com, they report that in fact, Seth Rich was on his way to talk to the FBI to reveal corruption about the Clintons when he was gunned down by a squad of assassins working for Hillary Clinton. The prosecutor in charge of the case at the time, Deborah Sines, talked to us for the first time for this podcast. And she talked about how frustrated she was about these wild conspiracy theories relating to her case. So she asked the U.S. intelligence community to help her figure it out. Where are these theories coming from? And what she got back, she says, floored her. It turned out that the Russian SVR, that their version of the CIA, their Foreign Intelligence Service, had circulated a bulletin disguised to read as a real intelligence report, making those exact same claims about Seth Rich that was in that whatdoesitmean.com story about the squad of assassins working for Hillary Clinton. And from there, it took off. It migrated into these alt-right sites and chat rooms on Reddit and 4chan. And within a few weeks, Roger Stone, the president's longtime political advisor, picked it up, tweeted a picture of Seth Rich, and said, "Another dead body in the Clintons' wake."
And picked up, by Fox News, folks on Fox News.
And from there,
on their pundits.
Exactly. The same day that Roger Stone tweeted that, Julian Assange gave an interview to a Dutch television reporter in which he hinted that Seth Rich was his source for the DNC emails. He posted, WikiLeaks announced a $20,000 reward for information about Seth Rich's murder. And eventually this made it all the way up to the Trump White House. In the podcast, we reveal text messages from Steve Bannon, then White House senior counselor, encouraging a CBS 60 Minutes producer to go chase the story, calling it a huge story. It was a contract kill, obviously. That was in March 2017. And then in May of 2017, just as the Russia story is blowing up, Fox News picks it up and shouts it to the rooftops.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, what you're describing really is a classic disinformation campaign out of, what was, formerly the KGB's textbook.
Exactly.
And the fact that it got such widespread amplification through, U.S. folks in America and alt-right stuff and Fox News, that's incredible.
Absolutely. Look, there's a phrase for what the Soviets used to do in the Cold War, active measures. It's a disinformation operation in which you plant phony stories or conspiracy memes into foreign media and then hope that they will migrate and take off. That's exactly what this was. This was a clear Russian disinformation operation. And I should point out that it wasn't just those SVR bulletins, as we reveal. The Internet Research Agency, that troll farm in St. Petersburg that was central to the Russian interference, manipulation of social media during the 2016 election, picked up the Seth Rich case. They tweeted and retweeted about it more than 2,000 times under phony accounts disguised as Americans, such as 10_GOP, like pretending to be the Tennessee Republican Party, and that it was constantly tweeting about Seth Rich, keeping the story alive in the social media bloodstream.
I mean, you would think, for the person holding up that sign that we saw in Tampa, or the people doing this on TV, if they had decency, they would apologize. I mean, for essentially doing the bidding of Russian intelligence by pushing this theory, which had no evidence at all.
No
evidence they were doing
whatsoever.
The work of Russian intelligence.
No evidence whatsoever. There was nothing. The claims were that there was the FBI had on Seth Rich's laptop had found communications with WikiLeaks. Complete nonsense. There was nothing to back that up. But the real emotional core of this story is just how gut-wrenching this was for the Rich family to see their son's, reputation being sullied, suggesting he was a leaker and a thief who betrayed his DNC colleagues. Mary Rich, the mother of Seth Rich, one of those we interviewed for this podcast, talks about says at one point, "This was like losing my son all over again."
And any progress on the investigation into what they believe was a robbery?
Well, what we've learned is that it has been transferred to the major case / cold case squad with a new detective and a new prosecutor who's now in charge of the case. We have not seen any sign of progress in the last 3 years. No suspects have been identified. No arrests have been made. Deborah Sines, the former prosecutor, says the cops and she were always convinced this was related to this string of robberies, armed robberies in the neighborhood, much of it linked to drug dealing activity in a nearby housing project. Joel Rich says that he's talked to the detective and prosecutor recently, and they've told him that they are still actively investigating. They talk about the case every day, and so we will see whether they can make that breakthrough.
Michael Iskoff, Yahoo News. That's where people can find the podcast on Yahoo News, right, Michael?
Yes, or on Apple Podcasts. It's called Conspiracy Land, and you can download it anywhere, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Michael Iskoff, thanks very much. Just ahead, a serious storm hitting New Orleans.